Hello, hello. Are we live? Can you hear? Hello, testing, testing. Hello, testing, testing. Whoop, whoop. It's working. Hello, pals. It's day 4. Welcome, welcome. Pull up a seat. I've just nailed some Smarties. They're gone because I suddenly realised actually eating Smarties on a live, that awful like pensioners crunch, crunch, crunch that you get in the cinema. But I've got myself a massive tea and we're ready to go. So tonight, I'm talking all about visibility. I've been here all week. If you've missed the previous 3, don't worry, they're there. You can go and look on my YouTube channel or you can visit the podcast. And also, this is live for 24 hours. So they're not going anywhere. You can catch up as and when you need them. And feel free to join in the chat, join in the conversation, ask me any questions, all that good stuff. But if you are listening to a replay, of course, if something resonates, just email me, send me a message, all that good stuff. So I've got 2 sort of snappy things to say tonight. And they are, I really want to be useful. And I heard this phrase years ago by Danielle Laporte, and she was saying she really has Virgo tendencies. If you're not familiar with Danielle's work, I love it. So I would recommend it, but it's each to their own. It will be for some people and they will love it, and some people may not quite get on with it because it's very defined in what it offers. And she always has this phrase of wanting to be useful. And as I've created more content, as I've sort of really built my brand, that is kind of one of my core values as well. I want to be useful. I don't want to just be here and just be blending in, I guess, and being like everybody else and being a bit nondescript. We have so many experiences in our lives where that is the case, where we can just sort of hum along. And recently, well, bizarrely, when I created it, I did a vision board in November of last year. And I had some big pieces of paper left over. And so I've created this lovely board in my office of all lots of different things in terms of business and life. And I often do it around my birthday because I'm a November birthday. So that works really well for me. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to do was really focus on my diet. So I'd had Luna, my daughter, in August. So I knew, and I wanted to feed her as well. So I knew I needed to really take care of that diet and really make sure I was getting good stuff in. And I put on this vision board, like loads of really nice, my mum gets some kind of free magazine. She gets Women's Health, I think it is, and then passes it on. We're very 1990s here, but she passes on that magazine. And there were loads of pictures of like really good looking fruit and veg and good healthy stuff in there. So I cut it out and I've stuck it on my vision board. And then on my birthday, on my birthday, a beautiful fruit and veg shop opened locally to me. But what I was going to say is they are not just choosing to open a shop for the sake of it and be like, yeah, we kind of were interested. They are really making a statement. The way they arrange their fruit and veg is second to none. I'm not going to say where it is, because if you did know where it is, you sort of know where I lived, and I don't know who's listening. So let me have a sip of tea. So they've gone really all in making everything look visually beautiful. And therefore, they're really visible. You walk past them on the high street and you notice them straight away. Even my mother-in-law was like, I'd really like to pick up this place and take it back to my hometown because it's lovely. And so on that point of being really useful, that kind of comes down to useful can sometimes be associated with just being practical or logical or run of the mill or expected, or all of that sort of stuff. But I tell you what, there will be a way that you can share your story, your experiences, your packages, what you offer in a way that is unique to you. And what I mean by that is you can bring your whole self, or what you choose of yourself, to the table. So when I'm delivering something, I have in the forefront of my mind, I guess, on the podcast to be useful. So I'm very intentional about how I create a bit of content. So when I was preparing this week, for example, I didn't want to just rock up on here and go, yeah, we'll just see what happens. I wanted to plan it to make sure that it was useful, to make sure that people were going to take things away from it. And sometimes that element of being useful can be associated with those negative connotations. But if you can be really clear about what your intention is, you can start to pepper it with your personality, with storytelling, with anecdotes, with real life examples. And it's really going to bring your content to life. So this thing about being visible and it sort of feeling like it's all about you. Of course, it's all about you if you're a personal brand, as in you've got to make sure that, you put yourself together and you get stuff out there in that way. But in a way, it's not really all about you. It's about other people, and other people will want to consume what you have, and they may be interested in what you have to offer. So when you're thinking about becoming visible, when you're thinking, hello, when you're thinking about becoming visible, sharing content, yes, absolutely, be intentional about how it can be useful. But also, how can you make it entertaining? How can you make it feel like it's uniting, feeling like your customer is going to be safe with you? A new client signed with me today, and she said to me, I've been thinking about lots of things for a while. And it's not for me to say what her situation is, but her situation is quite unique for somebody of her age. And it has been quite emotional, let's just say that. And she said, I feel like I'm going to be safe with you. Like, I want to do great things, but also I want to do it in a gentle way. I want to do it so I can really live and work in my current circumstances as well, especially if there's hard times. And I think you understanding for you what you're here to do and how you can really help. So going back to that fruit and veg shop, for example, we're big fans of it anyway. We're in there all the time. But they've got these beautiful cylinders, like really tall, long cylinders. And they're really sort of pleasing. They've got all these gorgeous, like Turkish rugs, Turkish fabrics around it. And it's a family-run business. And I was in there with my little Oscar the other day, and I could see him eyeing up one of these big cylinders. And he went over, and he was 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds away from wanting to put his hand in and thinking, I'll just have a little try, or I'll just touch it and we'll see what happens. Fortunately, he didn't, because he knew that wouldn't have been cool. Anyway, Alex, the guy who is the eldest son of this family, who is mates with Oscar now, he said, do you want to try one, Oscar? And Oscar was like, I'm not sure, because he was eyeing up these cashew nuts. And he said, go on, just try one. And then Oscar sort of paused and he wasn't really sure. So I said, well, why don't Mummy try one with you, and let's kind of snap it open and let's try it. Anyway, he liked it. And then he said, oh, can we get some? So he did the whole process of getting the scoop and putting them in a brown paper bag, paid through the nose for them, etc. I didn't mind, obviously, but it was a whole thing. And there was something about him in that moment, Alex, that he wasn't, of course he was selling, because he's there to sell his produce. But there was something about the engagement. There was something about him really realizing that his visibility was not about going, come and buy your bananas, this is how much it is for a pound of spuds, etc. He was actually creating a connection with my son. And he really understood that actually it was about that personal touch. It was about him understanding the circumstances of his customer. And his customer was 4 years old. And it was a really important moment, because now he's left. He's had a really good experience. This is so funny. This is not what I'm doing when, I leave with my child, by the way. I'm like, did you feel taken care of? Did you feel looked after, Oscar? But I tell you what, every time he wants to go in there. He likes looking at all the stuff. They've got these gorgeous little baskets that you can wheel around, and it's just a really lovely experience. So when we're talking about being visible, being useful, it isn't necessarily in just a loud way where you're shouting and telling people what it is that you do. You can do it in a really quiet way, in a really sort of particular way, in a way that feels good to you. And I think sometimes as well, we can get bombarded. Hello. We can get bombarded with adverts, with people selling stuff to us. And because this internet space can get busy, can get noisy, we're fighting, we're working with the algorithm. People feel like they have to get more pushy, more salesy, more buy now, it'll be gone, closing the cart. There's all this really kind of aggressive, really aggressive language. The second point I want to make today is I did a podcast recently about what would you do with 85 new customers. Now, recently, I was booked at an event, and it was a really lovely event. It was a great group of people, but this was, all right, sirens, hello. But this was the interesting thing. I didn't know any of the 85 people. I knew the organizers, I knew what they wanted me to speak about, but those people I'd never met before. I had no connection with them, but I sold out a room of 85 people. And it was interesting preparing in advance, because I always do that when when I'm working with a new an organization who book me for something or whatever it might be. I always go to that question. How can I be useful? What is your audience looking for? What can I do that's going to really impact them? So there's something that I'm doing next month, for example, and it's a speaking gig, and it's something cycle 3 of your washing machine. I tell you what, yeah, I've done about 4 this morning. It never stops. It's insane. Anyway, so this talk that I'm doing next month, it's in quite a conservative place, let's just say. And she was sort of saying like, oh, we would love it if you would make it really interactive, but not too interactive. So it's important when I've sort of done speaking, when I've been visible, it's been important to really think about what that person wants to gain. Going back to the story of 85 new customers, potentially, they put this event up on the Dots, which I don't know if you've seen, but it's like the kind of LinkedIn for creative. So I could see all these people signing up, and I could sort of investigate who they were and what they were all about. And I came away after that event, which went really well. I had a couple of people who became clients, which was really lovely. Quite a few people who've stayed in touch or have joined my newsletter. Or it's really nice when you get those messages sometimes, where sometimes people might connect with you on LinkedIn, for example, or in Instagram, or they'll say like, oh, I was working on something today and I thought of you, so I just wanted to let you know. And I remember that phrase you said, whatever it might be. But my point to this is, it's really important to do things that are unexpected, because we see these trends all the time, don't we, on something like Instagram of, okay, everybody's going to do this. Everybody's going to follow the template. Everybody's going to do dancing videos. Everybody's going to not lip sync. We see these trends. But what if you made a decision to actually do something that works for you, to get really creative about how you're showing up or what you're sharing, or talk about stuff in a different kind of way? And what I also want to add is how you can be visible in lots of different ways as well. So sometimes that is pitching for to collaborate with, sorry, I've got hiccups now. Are they going to go? Yes, they are. Excuse me. But sometimes it is about collaborating, or sometimes it's about reaching out to somebody and going, do you get what I do? Or do you think somebody in your office would really like X, Y, and Z? Or is there a way we could work together? Or I've had this idea. That, for me, makes marketing, makes visibility really exciting, because there are only so many hours in the day. And also, if it feels good, and I know I've said this earlier in the week, but if it feels good, you'll do good generally. It's really important that you feel aligned with it. You feel like you can connect with your message, and therefore you're going to be more willing to share it. So likewise, some people will say, I don't even want to be on video, or the thought of going live on something like Instagram absolutely terrifies you. Absolutely. Well, then you don't have to do that. You might work up to it one day. You might challenge yourself. You might think, okay, I'm going to have a glass of wine and give it a go. But equally, you might start just writing or commenting on other people's. You don't even have to create the content yourself. You can just start to be in the game. I think I used this analogy earlier in the week, and I use it so often with my clients. One thing that I guess your aim of the game sometimes is to just get in the pool. You know, you always see it with public swimming pools, outdoor ones generally, especially on holiday as well, Brits abroad and all that. And you can see people walking around and they're like, oh, do you think it's warm? What do you think the temperature's like? Oh, I'm not sure. Do you think it's deep? Oh, where's the shallow end? Do you think I'll be able to touch the floor? Oh, what's that? Is it going to look a bit slippy? And people are just kind of ruminating about what this thing might be. And actually, sometimes the only way you're going to get to know this is to get in the pool, get your shoulders under, put your face in, and see what happens. That's how you're going to know that you're in the game. So if you're feeling like you're on the sides and feeling like, even if you've got that idea that's tucked away and you're like, oh God, oh no, it just feels so exposing, or can I do this? Or you get distracted. I know when I'm facing fear that I will start doing the most weird jobs that I would never think about usually. Like, I'm going to tidy underneath my sink, or I'm going to rearrange my tea towels, or I'm going to put photos in frames, or I'm going to sort out the kids' art and crafts. Like, I'm doing all those sort of things. And sometimes I just need to send the email. That's it. And that's when I know that I'm slightly off, because I'm avoiding the thing that I know that I should be doing. So that's it for tonight. If you feel like you want to move forward and you want to start getting closer, and you know that you need to get in the pool, you know that you just need to do it now, even if you're not quite ready for that, just get a bit closer working on this analogy. Sit on the side of the pool, put your toes in, have a little dip, have a paddle, at least put your swimming cozy on, all of the things, and just keep moving forward, whatever it might be. I did a podcast about this a little while ago, about how I have kind of plotted or thought about where I want to be in 10 years. And sometimes it's a really good checker when I'm reflecting at the end of the day of, did I do some things today? And sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's very imperfect. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes I feel like I'm going backwards instead of forwards. Did I do anything today that is going to get me closer to where I want to be in 10 years' time? And if I did, I really celebrate it. I write it down. I welcome it. I applaud myself for doing that, because it can be hard. We set these big goals for ourselves, and then when it actually comes to doing it and getting closer to doing it, that's stretchy. That's not easy by any means. So if you're at a point of going, yeah, I need to do something, please get in touch with me. We're coming into March now. The year is marching on. Ha 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 ha. The year is marching on. And you don't want it to be another year where it's just a bit mediocre, or it's okay. How many times when you're offered something really lovely, people just go, oh no, I'm okay, thanks. I'm okay. And I've really come to this realization, I don't want to just feel okay. Yeah, there might be days where I'm tired or there's stuff going on, and, life has its challenges. But generally, I really want to feel above average. I really want to feel good. I want to feel fine. I want to feel excited. I want to feel all those good, beautiful, multicolored emotions, rather than, a bit beige, a bit okay in that way. So, Speak Up program is still open until the 29th of February. It's going to be open regardless, but if you do want that special offer of option 1 with the free 45-minute session, you're welcome to do that. And also just say that you've watched this. If you've watched this or you're listening to it on the podcast, let me know that that's where you've come from, and I'll do a little kind of lovely little surprise as well if you sign up. So just let me know. Or you can get all of option 3 for the price of option 2. So you can go over to nikkiraby.com/speak up. Hello, ladies. I'm just about to finish, but you can go back. I've just been talking about visibility tonight, and all about, how you can get your business and your brand and all that good stuff, especially after I shared that scary video earlier. Oh my goodness. But this is the thing. I'm not in it to sort of, oh, did I just have a spider? Oh no, it was a wire. Late to the party. The party's still going on. The party's being recorded. Oh my goodness. Do you ever have that? Maybe that's been nearly 40, where sometimes you're invited to something and you're like, can't you just record it and then send me the video? And then I'll fast forward to the bits that I want to watch. It's it's like the life admin with school and with nurseries. It's like, do you want to come to this thing? And you're like, not really, but I will. And of course, anyway, I'm going off point. Lovely to see you. I'm going to be uploading this as a podcast as well very shortly, so you can listen to it there. Grab your piece of paper and a pen. There's lots of juicy bits to it. Juicy bits, awkward. Anyway, have a lovely evening, whatever you're doing. If you do want to join Speak Up, get your message out there, get more customers, create more impact, Really be that go-to expert. I say it on my masterclass, which is free, by the way. You can check it out on my website. When I was booked for Stylist magazine last October, I was booked in the late August, or I think it was late August, yeah. So I had a 3-week-old baby, and I'm turning to Matt, my partner, going, do you think I'll have lots of sense in October? Do you think it'll be okay? And he was like, yeah, it'll be great, 45 minutes, da, 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 da. But the really noticeable thing with that conversation was Kate, my contact there, said, you were the first person I thought of, and I thought you would be perfect for this. And so that's what I do in this program, is help you really define what it is that you're doing and what you're always on about. It's so you've got that framework that you can work with. And therefore, if you do that groundwork right now of what are you about, who's your ideal customer, who's going to love what you do, what opportunities are open for you, do the groundwork, and then it's kind of easy. I mean, it's not easy because, it still involves emails. It still involves, you putting yourself out there. I create a lot of content, but generally I'm not down a mine, and it's stuff that I really love to do. However, when I was first putting the things together and I was doing the PDFs and I was really thinking about my about page, and I was trying to not sound like a complete twerp when I was doing it, that felt really hard. That felt really stretchy. That felt like I was moving out of my comfort zone. But if I could focus on that future vision of like, where am I going? And am I joining the dots from where I am right now to where I want to get to? It just becomes easier because you're doing stuff from an intentional place of not a fearful place. And sometimes I've had to make decisions, again, just to give a stylist example. When I spoke at Stylist Live in 2018, I was going to get paid 30 days after the gig. Absolutely fine and completely normal. But I knew that I needed to get this filmed. I knew it because it was such a good opportunity. I was speaking to 300 people. It was absolutely packed. The Stylist magazine logo was everywhere. Perfect. And, sorry, I've got a snotty nose now. Brilliant. But when you get a gig like that, you really have to capture it as well, because you want to show what you've done, and you want to be able to generate more work like that. But at that time, I had so many payments that had to be made, and I was just really hesitant about doing it because it felt risky. It felt like I was spending money on certain something before it came in. It felt a bit off, and it felt risky. But I tell you what, investing that money to get that filmed properly, and I had mates who said, oh, I'll do it on my iPhone if you want, and all the rest of it. But that wouldn't have sufficed. So, somebody who was going to mic me up properly, who was going to light it really well, who was going to edit it and cut it and do it on a really great camera, that was worth paying for. And I tell you what, that sits on my YouTube channel now, and people just get in touch with me and say, I saw your video. Can you do something similar? What are your rates? Are you available for this? Can I have a quick chat with you on the phone? But generally it's a 5-minute chat, and then it's booked in that way. So all of that stuff is in the program of how you can do this as well. So it works if you're a product-based business. It works if you're a service-based business. It's just going to be really useful. And I tell you what, again, once you've got all of those pillars in place, and as a business or a brand what you are and what you're not, all of the decisions, once you've done that groundwork, it makes it easy. So somebody said to me the other day, they asked me if they could send me something. I'm not going to say what it was, but it was very much related to my children. Now, I am a parent. I've got a son and a daughter, but they're not really, they are a bit on the internet because, I'm at home with them, and, sometimes they are part of my content, but they're not the feature. They're not they're not for sale, basically. You know, I'm not a parent blogger. I don't do things like that generally. And because I know what my intention is, and I know what my the pillars of my brand are, I could sort of send that email back of, you know, very politely saying, thank you so much, really kind of you to offer, but I feel like there'll be a better match for somebody else. If I didn't know what I was all about, or sometimes you do see people doing that, you know, when you see people, celebrities doing adverts, and they pop up, and you know, you might look at other members of your family and you're like, it's a bit weird they're doing that, isn't it? Or, oh blimey, they must have paid them loads for that, because oh, I'm not sure about that. Whereas something like Gary Lineker, you know, he's been doing the Walkers adverts for years, like he's really assimilated with that brand. But it's weird when there's sometimes things that are off. And sometimes that happens when people just go, oh yeah, I'll take the money, that sounds good, and they make decisions from that place of like, cool, yeah, sure, why not, I'm free on that day, rather than having those big key foundations in place of what you are and what you're not, because then you can work out whether something is a yes or whether it's a no, or whether it's going to work for you or it's not. And being able to make those decisions, that's when I talk about working smartly, not just hard, because that's when you can speed up the process. When you're in procrastination, when you're in indecision, that's the stuff that takes up headspace, because we're trying to be nice, we're trying to let people down gently, we're not really clear why that's not a fit because we haven't articulated it. However, if you can, and you can get really clear from the outset, then do. So that offer is on until the 29th of Feb, as I mentioned. All the details are down below. If you want a free 15-minute session and you want to find out more, or just pick my brains or something like that, just get in touch. I have a few spots coming up. So yeah, we can arrange that. Anyway, I'm going to be back tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Thursday. So I'm going to be here at 7:30 tomorrow, here on Instagram at Nikki Raby, but they'll go up on the podcast as well, wherever you're listening. And I'm going to be up here tomorrow, Thursday the 27th, and Friday the 28th. But March is coming. So don't just watch this and feel like, oh yes, cool, yes, I should do something about that, or listen to it. Think about what your next steps are. You've got stuff to do, you've got brilliant things to make. And also, if you want to hear a little bit more about my journey up until now, I can't believe I said the J word, I've just launched a video on IGTV about basically all the mean things that people have said to me over the years, and how it can be really hard to be all the things to all the people. So have a look. Loads of people have watched it today. It feels a bit scary, but you know, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Moving out of your comfort zone. All right, my loves, have a lovely day, whatever you're doing. I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.